my name is Angelica. I am from the Netherlands. I'm a photographer and also illustrator, and since this year a big fan of sewing. So in this video I want to show you all I've made this year. Just a little heads up, I'm a total beginner, so don't really expect anything intricate or just very well made garments. They're just really beginner level. And I just thought it was fun to show you because I love watching videos like these. And you know what? I had a whole introduction about my beautiful green Hedy, and that's the name of my sewing machine. She's a Husqvarna Zigzag, which is a sewing machine from the 50s. Absolutely beautiful. But I think it's just better to start by the way. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so this is one of the first things I've made. It's made out of an old blanket from the thrift store. Bed sheets, I believe. Bed sheets, yeah. And it's a jacket. It's a free pattern from, I believe, the fabric store. It's called the Nino jacket. I hope you can see that. And I made it with the help of my mother because, I mean, I have no clue how to sew. And that was very helpful, but also frustrating. I was very impatient, especially in the beginning. I just wanted to make something in one day, and that's not very reasonable. Okay, so this is one of my favorites, and I think it's one of the first things I sew. It's made out of a vintage. It's made out of vintage fabric that I bought at the thrift store. It's very nice. It's the Maya ruffle dress by DIY Daisy. It's not squares but rectangles. Rectangles. It's only rectangles, and it's a very easy make, and it's so comfy, and I love it. I've worn it quite a bit. I think it's very cool. Later in the year I made another one from this hysterical fabric. It's basically the same, just made a little ruffle underneath, and this one has pockets, which is just so much better. I cannot really find them. This is also made in the beginning of the year. Last year in the beginning, I think around May or April. It's based on a pattern by Rosary Apparel. She has great ones. And it's with long sleeves and elastics on the side and a little button, a little keyhole, and of course also pockets, which is the best. I mean, why would you make your own dresses and not make pockets? So this is another of my favorite that I made this summer. It's like a midi maxi dress. I mean, I will post a picture somewhere so you can see that. I mean, it's too long on the camera. But so it's very comfy and it's very nice. Someone told me it's very Little House on the Prairie, I guess, but it's very nice. Of course, it has pockets. It's the perfect length for summer, so you can just be super comfy but still look nice. Don't worry about showing your panties, you know. Yeah, and it has a little strap in the back and a little keyhole. Because, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I have quite a large head, so it does need to fit into the neck hole. Is that a word? Neck hole? Not sure. There's a lot of noise going on outside. I live in the center of the city, and yeah, it's honestly a nightmare to film because it's so noisy, and there are a lot of churches making sounds, songs, whatever. So yeah. Just hopefully you can ignore it because I have to move on, otherwise I could never finish a video. After all the dresses I tried to make something more advanced, so I went for a jumpsuit. I drafted my own jumpsuit and used several tutorials to make something. It was quite a bit of a... well, I had to figure it out. It's quite hard. But it did fit, and I think it's nice, but I have never really worn it. It also has a zipper. It's my first project where I used a zipper. So after making the jumpsuit I had some fabric left, and I really loved the fabric, but I didn't really have much left, and I just had just enough to make this. I basically used every centimeter left. I even had to use the back piece upside down because there was no way I could otherwise make the back piece. So it's a bit crooked. I think the arms, sleeves, that's the word. I think the sleeves are a bit too tight for my taste, but there was no more space, there was no more fabric left. So I think for a side project, they're not very good. It of course has the keyhole again, and it's a bit shorter and cropped, but also wide, which I love. I really love not really too tailored fittings, but more like boxy and wide. That's just more my style. So yeah, I think it's good. So the next one was a bit of a bummer. First of all, I have washed it ever since, and the bias binding doesn't really work out. It unraveled a bit, so please ignore that. But it is, I think it's a top by DIY Daisy, the rectangle top, I think it's called. Again, just rectangles, super easy. But this fabric was not cotton, but that I usually use, but I think it's a viscose. And for some reason, the fabric doesn't work with this pattern. It looks like saggy and weird. So yeah, nice try, but kind of a fail. Honestly, I forgot about this one. This was a super cheap fabric that I bought at the market for like €1 a meter. Sometimes you have that. And I tried something out to make a t-shirt. I think it's cute, but it's a little too tight here. I have a bit of a hunchback, so this is always a problem for me, problem area. And in this case, it was a bit too tight, but I think it's cute. And the next one. Ooh. This is one that I have worn quite a bit. First of all, I really love the fabric. It's a cotton poplin blend, so it's very soft, but it's also very light and airy, but it's not too slippery like viscose is. So it's a bit wide and stiff, I guess, but not too much. I like it a lot, and I really, again, love the floral fabric. I tried steaming this, but it didn't really get much better. This was one of my first makes as well. It's also a tutorial by DIY Daisy, and it's a wrap top, but I sewed this together because it would fall apart. I think it's cute. I don't really like the color purple with my hair. I think it's a bit too much, but again, this was a cheap fabric for like €1 a meter. So I just bought all these things to just try it out and just see what I could make. And I think it was quite complicated for me as a beginner to make this, but in the end it's okay. But to be honest, I've never really worn this, so yeah. So this fabric is a funny story, honestly. This was one of those €1 a meter fabrics as well from the market, and I don't know, I don't really vibe with these salesmen. So this time they made a mistake as well. I asked them for, I think 4 meters or 3 meters, and he for some reason thought 10. So I got 10 meters of this fabric that I honestly, it's cute, but it's purple, and I think purple looks not too great with red hair. But it was quite funny, and I've made several things. I made a dress, but I have honestly already thrown it away because it was a total fail. These are just simple pajama pants, which I think is a very easy and fun make. So if you ever want to try something and start with sewing, I would like to recommend something easy like pajama pants. I mean, when I wear them, it does look a little bit like I'm wearing a diaper, but they are pajama pants, so who cares? Another floral top. This time it's a wrap top. It's impossible to show you on the hanger, but this one was self-drafted by a tutorial by Pattern Scout. I think it's very fun. It's another one of those viscose fabrics. It's a little bit more slippery. As a total beginner, I find that quite a bit hard to work with. so it was a bit of a pain in the ass. And I have honestly also never worn this ever, except for once, I think. So for the next year I really want to try and make things that I'll actually wear, but I'm just still figuring out what I like to wear, because most of all I like to be comfy, and now it's winter, so I only wear sweaters. And no, I have not knitted this myself. I want to, but where's the time? So yeah, this one, love the fabric, again, florals. Not too, I mean the outcome, it was pretty okay, but I just haven't worn it. So this is one of my absolute favorites of this year. It's another Nino jacket from the fabric store, but I haven't used the pockets because of the fabric. The fabric is an old curtain that I bought at the thrift store for like, I think 2 or 3 euros. And I just fell in love with the beautiful birds and patterns and flowers. It's a bit of a thicker fabric because of course they are curtains. So I saw this and I just knew it had to be like a kimono jacket, which I love. And so I made this. I really love it. So after a while I thought it would be time to make something a bit more advanced and try out buttons. I mean, I have a really old machine and she doesn't have like the button option or a button foot, so I don't know, I just thought it would be a lot of hassle, but I've tried and I made a normal blouse by Fiber Mood. I have already seen an error that I've seen somewhere else here, so please ignore that. But another one of the soft, more viscose kind of fabric, very nice, very flowy, very good. And it was quite a bit more work than I usually do for my tops, but I think this is overall okay. The only thing I don't really like is that it's a bit too short for me, and I think the length of the sleeves are a bit an awkward length. They're like around here, and for me that's, I don't know, it's a bit of an awkward length, but I think the pattern is very nice and I will make more. Actually I even did already. This is another normal blouse that I have hacked a little bit. I have heightened the neckline, narrowed the neckline, made it a little bit higher, and made the blouse a little longer and the sleeves longer as well. And I use elastics because I don't really have the patience to make the little small bands that go with it. And of course more buttons, which was a total nightmare to make, but whatever. And the fabric is a bit more of a poplin, stiffer cotton, and I honestly don't really like it. I feel it looks a bit 80s on me, especially with the stiff fabric, so it was kind of a bummer, I guess. After that I made this one, another fabric, another poplin fabric. So at this time I made a blouse out of it without the buttons, so it would be more like a shirt or a top, I guess. I felt like it fitted it better, the shape of the fabric. Does that make any sense? No. Anyway, this is another normal blouse. I think the neckline is a bit too wide because it's not really a blouse, it's a top. So I would have preferred it to be a bit more smaller, but I do really like this. It's quite long, and I made some of these like slits in the fabric. I think this one looks better. So it can just fit over my hips perfectly. And this is, I think, one of my favorite makes this year. It's a vest. It's supposed to be reversible, but I ended up using a bias binding that was a little bit too small to cover up the previous stitching. But that's fine. As always, I like the floral part better anyway. So yeah, I really love it. And I also made this to match with this top, so I can wear it together. I think that's very fun. And I traced this one from one of my own vests, so I just made my own pattern, and I think it's very easy to do. Okay, this one is also impossible to just show it nicely on the hanger, but this is a velvet wrap top that I made out of a curtain from the thrift store. I've also made a shorts video of it, so you might have seen it before. I'm just gonna wear it for Christmas, and it's something nice and shiny. And this case I also used the previous pattern from Pattern Scout that I made, and also the basis of the normal blouse to get the beautiful narrow shoulders and the puffy sleeves. And I'm very pleased with this one. It looks very chic, even though it absolutely isn't. So these are my last year makes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you can understand me a little bit. For me, talking in English is a little bit more difficult than it is in Dutch, and also, as I said before, I'm getting quite self-conscious because my neighbor can hear me talk right now, and she